Sorcery is a brand new Jujutsu Kaisen game on Roblox that a lot of people have been talking about and playing, myself included, so I thought it'd be, as good a time as ever to post my mandatory sorcery video like all the other YouTubers are doing, because I do have some things to say about this game and I do think the game is incredibly well made and very, very fun to play as of right now. So, we'll talk about the things that I think are good and bad, but we don't want to start it off on a negative note, so we'll go with the good first. Main thing that I want to talk about that I like the most is probably the combat. And I know that's a bit of a double-edged sword because not a lot of people are fond of the combat, cough cough balancing, but we'll get into that later. But the combat itself feels incredibly fun, fluid, and interactive to actually play. And for the entirety of the footage that you're going to be seeing in this video, I'm only fighting NPCs, I'm only fighting curses, because I suck and I haven't even found any players to fight yet besides my friends. I haven't tried the culling games, but from what I've seen, it doesn't look much easier than what I'm doing, so we'll try that later. But the PvP in general, or PvE in this case, feels really, really satisfying to play. Your moves feel like they're not janky, the actual M1s aren't janky, and the moves themselves are also pretty cool looking and fun to use. Me personally, I was using Blood Scourge for later in the footage, I didn't get it yet, but once I finally got my curse technique and I was able to use all those cool moves, it was just so fun. And I really have no better way of describing it than just, pointless, mindless, nuts to butts fun. It was really, really satisfying using all my moves. And you don't even need a curse technique in order to enjoy the combat of this game, because I was having fun way before I even got my curse technique. You could literally spec into cursed energy and just start running around with divergent fists and cursed slashes, whatever it's called, and you're gonna do fine just like that. That's another thing that I like about this game, is that no specific path feels innately useless. If you choose not to opt for the curse technique route, either because you can't do the parkour or because you don't want to use a curse technique, you still have a lot of options at your disposal, mainly cursed energy and the strength skill tree, because those two have the best moves in my opinion. Agility also has some decent moves like dash, which is just a nice quality of life move to get around the map a little bit faster, but I don't see it having as much combat potential as the other trees. As of right now, resilience is literally just there for shits and giggles. It doesn't even have any moves, and the only move that it does have costs 300 investment points to use, so no one can actually use it. But I'm getting off topic. What I'm trying to say is every single path in this game feels like it's viable for PvP. There's no useless, overlooked, or trash subsection of playing the game. Every little subclass that you can go and spec your points into feels viable and it feels good to use. But some things are definitely better than others. Another thing that I really, really like about this game is the movement. Because yes, this game has a parkour section, which a lot of people weren't too fond of, myself included. That's going to be something for the next section of the video. The movement in this game really does lend itself well to parkour. In Type Soul's case, when you had to do an obby in order to get your partial res, you know why it was so ass? Because Type Soul is not a parkour game. The game's movement was not made with parkour in mind, which is why the obby in that game just felt so sloppily done, because it was haphazardly thrown together without actually taking into account the game's movement mechanics. But in this game, the parkour is genuinely good. It's fleshed out and it takes into account every single little thing that you learn in the game. Everything that you learn in the tutorial, you are going to be using for that parkour in order to get your curse technique. And there is going to be the criticism, well, I remember when Gojo had to do his parkour to unlock his reverse technique, and blah, 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 blah. I don't know. What I'm trying to say is, yes, it's not canon, and never in the manga did Yuji have to complete his parkour without dying in order to unlock his curse technique, but I don't think looking for accuracy to the source material in a Lego fighting game is really the thing that you should be doing, right? If you're on Roblox and you're looking for a Jujutsu Kaisen game, you want to fight, right? You want to enjoy the combat. You're not really supposed to care that much about how accurate it is to the source material, because at the end of the day, it's a Roblox game, right? It's not supposed to be a one-of-one true copy of how it is in the actual Jujutsu Kaisen world. Although with how good Gojo and Sukuna's techniques are, you'd think it's supposed to be canon and one-to-one. But yeah, what do I really like about this game? Number one, the combat feels incredibly fun and addicting to play. This is one of the few games where, while I was getting the background footage for this video, I found myself not being able to stop. I enjoyed getting the background footage, and some games I can't say that. But I had a lot of fun just getting background footage, playing the game, progressing, getting my curse technique. And, you know, it's rare for me to say that on Roblox games because lately Roblox just feels so incredibly dry. And this game was really a breath of fresh air. A parry-based combat-type game with Jujutsu Kaisen-inspired mechanics and powers and abilities is really cool. And I, for one, enjoyed it thoroughly. Albeit, I'm not even max level yet. I think I'm only level 99. And to get past the cap, you have to beat the Colon games, which is a whole nother beast. And I think that wraps it up for the good section. Little quick recap. What do I think is good about the game? Number one, the combat. Absolutely love the combat. Number two, the movement system, the parkour, wall jumps, wall running, double jumps, being able to climb walls. All of that feels really nice, intuitive, and it feels like it was made with the game's mechanics in mind. Which is, again, why I say that the parkour section, I don't really care about it personally. Because yes, it was pretty annoying to do before I got the hang of it. I could understand why. From a gameplay perspective, the reason that they wanted to do that was just to add a little unique mechanic in order to progress your character further. And it would be kind of lame if you just spawned in with your curse technique and you didn't have to do any type of outside thing in order to get it. I, for one, think that this is a good gameplay design. Like, this is a good gameplay design choice, is what I'm trying to say. And if you can't do the parkour, and you just don't like it because you can't do it, and that's kind of a skill issue, I'm not gonna lie. And I might be a bit of a hypocrite saying that, because I got my friend to do the parkour for me. But, you know, let's move into the things that I didn't like so much about this game. The first thing that I want to talk about is the missions. Now, I've only played the sorcerer missions. I haven't tried any of the curse missions, or like if you're progressing as a curse, I haven't tried any of those progression methods, so I'm only speaking for sorcery, or like the sorcerer path here. Not all missions are made equal. And the one that I'm doing right now is my favorite mission, the extermination quest. This one is actually fun because you get to go kill curses and level up, which is how I think all of the progression should have been. I think they really should have stuck with the strong suit here, but they didn't. Because you'll see the footage on screen right now, this is one of my least favorite missions in the game. The cursed object mission, where essentially you just go around the map, you use your curse sense to find this box, you go to the box, you click on the, like, you interact with the box, and then you feed it blood until the timer is over, and that's it. So the entire mission is just like a fetch quest, except you just sit there and you spam interact so you can feed it blood until the timer's over. It feels so boring and just mind-numbingly pointless. Like, you guys could have at least added some enemies for me to fight in the meantime, or you know, you could have made it so like, oh, an enemy comes outside of the box and now you have to kill the enemy in order to secure the cursed object, blah blah blah. You know, it would have been nice if there was some degree of combat in here. Because as it stands, you can see the background footage right now. I'm literally just sitting there twiddling my thumbs, waiting for the timer to go away. Whenever I get this mission, I kind of just roll my eyes. Because although it is super easy, and maybe the reason that the devs added it was because they wanted to add a way for beginner players to actually progress. Because as a beginner, I'm not going to lie, it is going to be a little hard for you to kill curses. Especially when you're like level 1 and you don't have any moves or stat points into anything. Those enemies deal a lot of damage. And if you don't have any good moves to combo with or deal damage with, you are going to find yourself struggling. Unless you cheese them into a wall, then you'll be fine. But I don't know, the only reason that I see this mission even being in the game is just to give like noobs a chance to progress, which is fair enough. And let's move on to the next thing that I kinda didn't like about this game, and that's the second mission. I don't think I have any background footage of this, or if I do, it'll play later in the video, but there's a hostage quest. So there's 3 quests that you can do as a sorcerer: extermination quest, cursed object, and the hostage quest. The extermination one is S tier, goated, best quest in the game because it's actually fun. Cursed Object, it's okay. You know, you get free, this is basically free XP and free items whenever I see it. But it's boring, which is why I don't like it. The worst quest in my opinion is the Hostage quest. Hostage quest, there you go. Why do I think it's the worst quest in the game? Number one, because there are some, depending on the map that you get, you literally can't do this solo. Because what you have to do is pick up some random NPCs and drop them over at the rescue point. But the problem with that is the rescue point will be like in your spawn and the NPCs are in the middle of Narnia, bumfuck nowhere. Like on different corners of the map. Making it so, you know, unless you have it memorized and you've... Sorry about that, my mic cut off. What I was trying to say is, unless you have the speedrun parkour route memorized, you're not going to be able to beat this as a solo, number one, because you're going to need to keep spamming your little curse sense thing to actually find out where the enemies are, and you just don't get enough time to do it. The extermination quest is perfect because you have ample time to get your job done. You have like 700 something seconds. You have half of that for the hostage quest, and the hostage quest is arguably more time consuming to do because you actually have to find the hostages, bring them from point A to point B, and you have to do that multiple times for one mission. It just feels like poor game design, which is why I personally didn't like it. Another thing that I didn't like is the diminishing returns on stat investments. What do I mean by that? Well, it takes 5 investment points to get a single stat increase for your given stat. For example, if I'm upgrading cursed energy, right, so I can have more cursed energy, I need to invest 5 stat points to get +1 curse energy. Or if I'm doing agility and I want to be faster, or if I'm doing resilience and I want more health, same logic applies, right? You need 5 of your little investment level up points to get a single stat increase in that given stat that you're trying to get. I think that's kind of lame because if you have 4 stats put into agility, let's say, they're useless. Unless you get that extra 5th stat, then you get your actual required, then you get the desired benefits. That's what I'm trying to say. It just feels kind of lame, and it kind of makes the build diversity in the game more diluted because now you're forced to run 5 specific points into something. And if you're not max level, like let's say you're level 79, right, instead of level 80, you just have useless points because you're not level 80 yet and you just can't invest them. You don't have enough investment points to get the full benefits of what you're trying to do. I thought that's kind of lame. But again, this game is in playtesting, so a lot of the issues that I'm going to talk about will probably be fixed. I'm just talking about them in hopes that, you know, if a dev or someone important sees the video, they'll be like, hey, you know what? We should get on that, because no one likes the system that we have right now. What else do I not like? The controls are kind of clunky. What do I mean by that? Well, having to press E plus Q to do your little flash step, or having to press E plus F to do a perfect parry, both of those are prime examples of like really unnecessarily annoying controls. The dash one I can kind of understand because it's not as annoying. I can do that one pretty easily. But perfect blocking, you just never do that in this game. Like throughout my entire playtime progressing in this game, not once did I perfect block, because having to press, like, hold E and then press F at the perfect time just so you can get that extra stun on your block does not feel worth it at all. I'd rather just parry normally. What I think they should do is, if you want to do a perfect parry, you could go the Combat Warriors route where you can press F and you'll have like a little purple or special block for a second or two, like half a second. And if an enemy hits you during that very, very small window, then you get your perfect block. And if they don't, then you just get a parry, and if you block even, like if they hit you even later than that, you just get a normal hit on your block meter. I'd like that system better, but you know, I'm not a game designer. I don't really know if that solution is the best. Something I would absolutely love to see is being able to flash step by just pressing Q twice like they have it in Type Soul. I think that system is really, really nice, and it's a lot more fun than having to hold shift and then hold E and then press Q over and over again if you want to do your flash step. That just feels needlessly tedious and annoying. But maybe it's a game design thing and they don't want to change that, so I digress. What else? The parkour for this game, a lot of people hate it because A, it's not accurate to the source material. Never in Jujutsu Kaisen did they have to, you know, jump through hoops and hurdles to get their curse technique. And some people think it's too hard. On the topic of it being too hard, I'm sure you guys can do it. I didn't do it, but I'm sure y'all can do it. Like, I believe in you. And yes, it's not accurate to the source material, but at the same time, the point of Roblox games like this, where the developer has full creative liberty of doing whatever he wants, is so he can do creative things with his game. I think this is a pretty cool creative route of getting your curse technique, being able to do some parkour. And I think it's a lot better than Type Soul's parkour, because this game actually lends itself to having the movement that you need in order to do fun, hard parkour. And what else do I want to talk about? Grinding tickets in this game is kind of AIDS, I'm not gonna lie, because although you do get curse tickets to, you know, re-roll your technique or get a new hair color or something else, you do get free curse tickets for just playing missions. You get one, and then you need to go to the NPC and give him one ticket at a time, which I think is stupid. I think one curse ticket from a mission should be worth 10 tickets. And then when you turn it into the NPC, now you have 10, okay, now you have one reroll. Instead of the current system we have where you get a singular ticket, so you get a 1/10 of a reroll per mission. That just feels dumb. And by the way, if you die, you lose all your curse tickets if you didn't bank them. And your bank only has 5 slots, so it's not like you can be storing a bunch of tickets at your disposal. No, you either have to use the tickets one by one and slowly but surely get a singular reroll, or you can just never die or store it in your bank. Both alternatives kind of suck. So I think grinding tickets should be made a little bit better, a little bit easier, because as it stands, it kind of sucks. And I mean, tickets aren't even that much of a problem in this game because they have a bunch of codes that literally give you hundreds of tickets right now. Greed is definitely something I don't think the dev for this game suffers from. This game is super duper pay to win. Free to play. I meant to say free to play. My bad. This game is extremely free to play. There is, as far as I can see, no way for you to just buy your way to having an insanely good ability or being outright better than other players. Most things in this game, or you know, all of the things in this game, you have to earn it and you have to play for it yourself, which I absolutely love. This might be subject to change when the game releases officially and people are going to want money. You know, the dev obviously wants to get paid for the work that he does. That's not to say he's not getting paid right now. Like, he's probably raking in the big bucks from people buying Wave or people buying the little... I think there are some things that you can pay Robux for in this game. You can pay to reroll your character and reroll your clan, both of which you can do for free with curse tickets, I believe. So, not a huge gripe. And what else is something that I don't like about the game? This one's just kind of a nitpick, but I like how some of the NPCs around like your little hub area are Jujutsu Kaisen themed. You have Mahito, you have Shoko, which is cool. But then you have some random ass NPCs. Like, why is the NPC girl, I think her name is Voxel, the one that upgrades your moves if you turn in a cursed gem with some money? Why is she just like laying on the ground in lingerie? Like, they really just added a Roblox character passed out on the floor in lingerie. It looks like they roofied her. Like, what does this add to the gameplay experience? Again, this is a bit of a nitpick. I just genuinely don't see why you couldn't just make her a normal girl NPC instead of having her passed out on the floor like she just came back from a Diddy party. Like, you know, I can't be the only one that sees something weird about this. But again, that's just me. I don't think anyone else cares. Personally, I don't care. I'm just adding this in here because I felt like I should add it in the video. It doesn't make or break the game for me. I don't care. You know, I walk over to her, I upgrade my move, and I leave. But I look at the character and I'm just like, why? Like, what stylistic choice does this serve? None. That's the answer. And besides that, I think that's really all of the things that I dislike about the game. That's going to bring me to the end of my video. So what are my closing thoughts? Number one, all of my criticisms for this game are not set in stone. I want to stress it very, very clearly. I can't stress it enough. This game is in play testing. This is an early access beta, meaning all of the things, all of the mechanics in this game are subject to change, right? Anything that people don't like, there is a very, very high likelihood that it will be changed in the future. So, although I did have a lot of bad, quote-unquote bad things to say about the game, I don't think any of them can't be fixed. And I genuinely like this game. I believe that the dev for this game truly has captured something that I haven't seen in literally any other Jujutsu Kaisen game. Like, Jujutsu Kaisen games on Roblox are kind of ass, if I'm being honest. And in my opinion, this is one of the first ones, or dare I say it, the first one that I genuinely enjoy and genuinely had fun playing. Because the progression feels good and fun to play. The moves and the combat systems are fluid. The animations are nice. The hitboxes, the hitboxes could use some work. The balancing is kind of poop, I won't lie. Especially if you're fighting against a Sukuna and, you know, he pops a domain expansion on you and you don't have simple domain. You literally have to sit there and take it. You're cooked. Or if you're fighting a Gojo and he pops Hollow Purple on you. Why they added Hollow Purple to this game, I don't know. Well, I know why. It's a Jujutsu Kaisen game, but, you know, there goes all my health and I can't even parry it. So the balancing could definitely use some work, but once again, it is playtesting, it is in testing, so I'm sure that they'll try to dial down on the balancing a little bit more. But overall, I think this is a great game. Do I think it's any good? Absolutely. You should try this game for yourself if you haven't already. I think that you'll have a lot of fun. Now, there is no like quote-unquote tutorial to teach you how to progress, but one quick YouTube search will teach you all that you need to know. This game is not complex by any stretch of the imagination. You literally just do mission, level up, invest stat points, repeat. And you do that until you're high enough level to get your curse technique, and you do that until you're high enough level to go to the culling games to fight other players. Later down the line, I'd love to see something like, you know, ranked PvP, ranked 1v1s, casual 1v1s, more game modes, more endgame content. As it stands, there's literally zero endgame content. The closest thing to quote-unquote endgame content that we have is culling games. But even that isn't really super duper endgame, because after you win once and you get the rewards that you wanted, what incentive is there to go back and do it again? But with all that being said, that's going to wrap up my video on Sorcery. Great game. Absolutely recommend it. If you guys enjoyed the video, learn anything new, or like to hear me talk about this game, feel free to like, sub, comment, all that wonderful stuff. Have a great day or night wherever you are. Stay tuned for more content, and we'll catch you in the next one.